Hey, thanks so much for joining me. I'm glad you were able to come and do an interview on how COVID-19 has impacted you and your experience. If you could just share your name and your school and what grade level you are.
Yeah, I'm Talasia and I'm a sophomore at Northland in East Grand Forks.
Awesome. Um, so my first question for you is how has it impacted your schooling?
It's impacted my schooling a lot from just the way I take my classes, how I study, and a lot with grades and the way that I've been able to either process or not process information with the way I'm receiving my teaching. And it's caused a lot of issues with trying to balance my time better.
Has it impacted your schooling performance, like your GPA at all, or like has it been a decline? If you want to explain more.
Absolutely, it has. My grades have dropped substantially. I am a very hands-on, I have to see stuff done when I learn for me to retain information. And with everything now being online and digital, I don't get that hands-on aspect of my learning that I need. So my grades have dropped incredibly low because of COVID and the inability to receive my teaching the way I need it to be received.
So my next question for you is, what are your thoughts on how the university has handled the pandemic?
I think at the start it was a little rocky, trying to switch everything over to solely digital. I know a lot of my professors really struggled with that. But afterwards, within the last couple of months, it's gotten much better. Everything runs a lot more smoothly. And when I go in to take exams and stuff like that, socially distanced, there's hand sanitizer everywhere, masks are required, and they keep our groups really small when we test.
Okay. Um, what do you wish the university would have done differently? And what do you think they're doing really well with, if you could give some examples?
Um, I would say with my answer with the last one, the social distancing and keeping groups small and masks and all that. They also do screen for COVID when we go in before an exam, which I think is a great thing. Um, but I wish that they would have made the transition from in person to online a little bit more smooth and made it easier for us to transition rather than the very choppy and hard time everybody had just getting dumped with, oh, now we're going online, good luck.
Right, yeah. How do you feel the teachers have adapted to it?
I feel like I have some who have done very well, and I have others that have not. And obviously, technology and the ability to use it is very different between my teachers.
Yeah,
Some of them have a much easier time, and most of their classes were already online or had a majority of the lessons and material online. But I have noticed with teachers who aren't a huge fan of using technology in their teaching have had the most difficult time transitioning, having issues with getting meetings started, issues with processing all of this online digital information from their students, getting grading back on time. Feel like they're trying their best, but the school didn't make it exactly easy. And obviously, it's not an easy thing, anyways, to transition like that.
right.
So I feel they've done okay, but for us, it could have been better in some ways.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you changed or adapted differently as a student with your schooling?
I, because of the way that I learn, kind of a lot, I have had to put a lot more energy into studying when typically I don't usually have to. I've had to really be a lot harder on myself with making sure I focus on things. Deadlines have been difficult because it's all self monitored, and making sure that I balance being an essential worker and my schooling has definitely changed a lot about the way that I manage my time and how I split up the days that I do schoolwork on.
Right. Um, so my next question I have for you is, how has a pandemic impacted your mental health?
it has impacted it a lot, very poorly, very negatively. Definitely a lot more difficult to get through things than it used to be.
And my follow-up question was has it impacted your physical health at all as well?
Um, I would say yes and no.
Okay.
I definitely have become a lot less active, and I don't do as much as I used to because of everything being shut down and the fear of COVID. So I've definitely got a lot lazier and put on the COVID lockdown weight for sure.
Sure, yeah. Do you think it has, which one do you think is taking the bigger toll on you, your mental or your physical health?
I think definitely my mental health for sure.
Um, I just have 3 more questions for you.
Okay.
What are some trends you've observed in your peers?
I've definitely noticed a lot of them have, um, they've kind of gone in a little bit more. I have a couple of friends who they they're not as outgoing as they used to be before COVID. It definitely has taken a huge toll on them as well. They're not as spunky and outgoing as they used to be. And I have others that, of course, it hasn't really affected that much, but I've seen more negative impacts than I have with positive.
Okay. Has it impacted your finishing or graduation date?
Yes, I had to receive extensions for my work, and it definitely has, with impacting my GPA, I might have to pick up more classes because of it.
Okay. And my last class, or sorry, my last question for you is, will you be returning to college this following semester?
I more than likely will be taking time off with COVID and needing a break for sure.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I will end the interview there.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.